Alright everyone, where are we going?
Joel Salatin farm.
Polyface farm.
That's right. But where are we going to right now?
To get the nail out of Mama's car's tire.
To get the nail out of the tire.
But in recent decades, in our culture, putting food on the table does not require any knowledge or involvement.
Thanks for tuning in everyone. My name is Scott with 2 Quacks and 5 Clucks Farm. Welcome to Polyface. I am that guy who shows up at Polyface Farms before it is daylight. I came down the driveway and I saw Joel's house and I was like, oh man, I better cut the lights. So I showed up here way early. I probably got here around 5:30 in the morning. Got lost a couple times, but I made it here. I wanted to come here early in the morning to just soak it all in, look around. This high tunnel is jam-packed with corn, pumpkin or squash. I don't know how you would even get through there. If you want to know who Joel Salatin is, just take a look around. You don't see anything new. You see run-down trucks, run-down machines. He's frugal with his money, and he only spends money where he needs to. That's who Joel Salatin is. A simple man, a simple farmer who lives a simple life. I spotted a skunk going towards one of Joel's hen houses. Joel's on his way to his house to get the shotgun so we can go look for the skunk and get rid of the skunk. This should be fun.
You don't keep your eyes on them, boy, they can get away pretty quick. He's probably down in all that junk and I'm not going to go rooting through it.
Yeah, he was heading towards this area.
Yeah, but there's a lot of cover for him to hide in. That's for
There
sure.
is.
Yeah, he'll live another day.
It's a beautiful place here. It's peaceful.
Yeah, it is. A lot different than the city right now.
It is, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
I would offer up a hand, but I have to go get my wife and kids for the Lunatic tour.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, oh, we're in good shape. We got plenty of time.
No skunk found. As Joel said, he'll live to see another day. Here's where Polyface Farms chickens are processed. This is where it happens. How would you like to have a setup like this? That's a big plucker. What an awesome setup. So your girls got to meet Joel Salatin. What'd you think?
Nice.
Yeah.
So welcome to Polyface. I'm Joel. I'll be your host for the next 2 hours. The way the tour goes, and every tour is different. We're going to start with the pigs. Not every tour gets to go to pigs because we don't always have pigs close enough to see. So we do have pigs close enough to see this time, so we're going to go to the pigs. Then we'll go to the broilers, and then we're going to go down the public road, which I'm sure is illegal as sin to do this, but it's fun to do something that's illegal as sin once in a while. So we're going to do that. Go down the road to the next to Eric's, the other part of the farm. That way we don't have to pull the steep hill going up. We can come down the hill coming home. We'll see turkeys, Millennium Feathernet, Eggmobile, and cows, and then we'll finish up with the carbon shed here as the last stop coming home. And we'll do our best to get back noonish. When we do get done, There will be hot dogs, fresh hot dogs being cooked here, and our hot dogs, not Costco hot dogs. They are 60% beef and 40% pork, and if you've never had one, you're missing a treat. So we'll have those here at the end. Right, these are pigs. I don't know when they turn into hogs, but when we get to the barn, you'll see some hogs. Somewhere between here and, you know, processing time. That's a nice euphemistic way of saying slaughter. They turn into hogs. At this point, they're pigs. So we get our little piggies. We don't farrow here. That's what you call having babies in pig speak. So they farrow. We don't have farrow here. We get our little piggies as weaner pigs. Weaner, not hot dog, but weaner as in they're being weaned after they're weaned. Okay, got to keep these all the nomenclatures right here. So so we get them from some folks in the area that raise them for us. That keeps us from having to fool with sows and boars and with 15,000 visitors a year, we don't want to have a 3-year-old eaten by a sow. And if you've ever had, you know, sows and boars, you know that a mama sow is a pretty intimidating critter. So so what's going on here? So this is a half-acre paddock. There's you know 40 or so pigs here. We run them in batches of 35 to 50 in a group. They come in at 8 to 10 weeks old. We get them acclimated, socially acclimated, trained to electric fence in the hay shed there, where we can kind of train them. Then they come out here, see electric fence, the 2 strands of electric fence. This one here is for cows. The 2 bottom ones there are for pigs. And they have a half-acre paddock. There are 5 paddocks here. We came by where they were last week. This week they're here. Next week they'll be over there. And the next week the next one, and the next one. And they just move around about every 5 to 12 days from paddock to paddock to paddock. And that keeps them on fresh ground. Notice there's no smell, there's no flies. It's because of the movement. If there's one refrain that I'll say throughout this tour this morning, it's movement. You're going to see everything moving, moving, moving. You know, we live in a culture that doesn't think animals are supposed to move. You're supposed to lock them up in a factory farm in a little jail cell, and you know, and they can't move, and so you know what we want are these animals to move, and that's sanitary. It's hygienic. It moves them onto fresh ground.
What did you learn so far about the pigs?
Well, basically we do it's kind of the same concept of what we were doing, but with the electric netting. And I totally agree that if we could get the food industry to start raising our food this way, we could make so many changes in the system.
Chickens as opposed to egg-laying chickens. Very different type of breed. It's like beef cows and dairy cows. So the meat chickens, they grow fast. They put on a lot of bulk quickly. They have a phenotype of a sumo wrestler, as opposed to the layers have a phenotype of a LeBron James or something. You know, well, LeBron's an animal. Stephen Curry. Okay. All right. So 2 different kinds of phenotypes. So there's these are 10 foot by 12 foot by 2 foot high shelters. We move them every single morning, and you can see the squares, so you can count back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get about 10 days, and it's grown up and it's metabolizing the manure that's on the ground. I'm going to now move this shelter so you can see how we do it. And then we'll talk a little more about it. So you just slip that here under the back edge and use it as a lever. Okay? That gets you up off the ground, but not high enough for the birds to get out. and then the birds just walk. Okay? I'm not going to move it all the way, but you get the idea, because they've already been moved once this morning. And they just walk to the next spot. So every day these birds get a fresh new salad bar, a fresh new lounge area. They get their linens cleaned, and that's the whole deal. So one person can move a shelter every 60 seconds. There's 75 birds in a shelter. So in 60 minutes, one person with nothing more than that tool and a little bit of energy can move 4,500 chickens.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And the complete protection protects them from predators, from weather. Because how many of you like chicken? Yeah, you know what? Everything that comes out here at 2 o'clock in the morning also likes chicken.
Yep.
Raccoons, possums, skunks, horned owls, eagles, coyotes, foxes, bears, everything you can imagine. So, when they're that small, you know, they're pretty vulnerable. When they're big, they're vulnerable as well. But anyway, that gives us a lot of protection. Big picture. We back up the camera. What are we seeing here? The average American farmer is 60 years old. Any business book will tell you that any economic sector of a civilization that is averaging, where the median age of the practitioners of that economic sector are more than 35 years old, is a sector in decline. $450 to $500 in here. A lot of Thanksgiving dinners right here. And so the turkeys, it's always hard to, unlike chickens, turkeys are very personable. You know, when you say you're chickens run away, turkeys come to you. And a chicken has about 10 vocal commands. A turkey has 32 different kinds of vocal commands. Like you can go. Anyway, and they have they have all the different kinds of vocal commands. Anyway, so the turkeys start out in the broiler shelters. Start out in the brooder. Then they go to the broiler shelters. And in about 6 weeks, they go into this netting. This is real high-tech netting. You'll see some more of it in a minute. But it's got stainless steel filaments woven through it to conduct electricity. There's a solar charger right down there that energizes it with electricity. That keeps foxes and bears and coyotes and possums and foxes out and keeps the birds in. Now, unlike the chickens, the turkeys never learn about spark. They never get it. They're this size. You can see them put their heads through. They'll eat a cricket or a grasshopper out here. And, you can watch her getting shocked. Got her head stuck through it. And they just never get it. So the turkeys are real critical to expose them to this when they're at about 6 weeks. They're big enough then to not walk through the holes, but small enough that they can't walk over it. So there's a real narrow window of introduction. So this is not a psychological barrier. It's actually a physical barrier, but the turkeys don't know they can go over it because they got introduced to it when they were 6 weeks old and small. All right? So this is the Gobbledygo. And we move this every 2 days. So we came by the next setup right down there. That's where they'll move tomorrow. And this is their second day here. Of course, they roost up on the Gobbledygo. It protects them from sun. And no, they're not laying eggs, but that just shows the versatility of this. We had a set of pullets that began laying. They were in here. They began laying before we could get them in the Millennium feather net and get the old birds cleaned out. So we threw some dust boxes on here so the pullets could start laying. We had about a 2 week, we were about 2 weeks behind. I said we never get behind, didn't I? We weren't behind. We just. That's what the turkeys are not laying eggs. One big difference between turkeys and chickens is the turkeys will eat up to 45% of their diet in grass. Chickens only maybe 15%. So the difference between a pastured turkey and a pastured chicken versus what's in the supermarket is more pronounced because a turkey can eat more grass. So everything that can eat grass, that eats more of it, like a pig, 45%, the differences are more apparent on pasture than they are an animal that doesn't eat much grass, like a chicken. The turkeys, because of that, they need a lot of grit. You know, birds don't pee. Turkeys don't pee, chickens don't pee. That's a good one to take to your trivia, friends. Chickens don't pee, turkeys don't pee. It's all combined. So now we're at layers. So we did the broilers up there. These are the layers. And we've got two different models here within sight. One is the Eggmobiles down there. This is the Millennium feather net. And yes, it is named after the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. If you'll remember, that thing, it was the fastest thing in the galaxy. So we don't know about appearances, but this is the coolest thing on the place. So this is on skids, it's not on wheels. It's surrounded by the netting. Again, here's the solar energizer right here. And so there's 1,000 chickens here. There's 1,000 layers. They have roosts in there, nest boxes. This is the feed buggy in front. It's hooked together. So you can, when we move them, you can see here the next circle is already set up. So you just open it up. Tomorrow these will move directly. We'll just tow it and we'll open it up here at the waist and tow it in, and the chickens will just walk in while we tow their infrastructure in with them. So this is in land intensive, highly controlled pastured egg production. The Eggmobiles, their primary goal is pasture sanitation behind the cows. So the chickens range out, eat out the fly larvae. Parker? Could you run down, open the electric fit? We're going to go right down through the field there. Open that gate right by the Eggmobile. It is hot, but just open it, flip it back. Thanks. The Eggmobile has rubber tires. It follows the cows about 3 days behind. The chickens scratch through the cow patties, eat out the fly larvae, spread the cow patties out into the field to stimulate fertility, and so you don't have they haven't been up here yet. But you can see there's no cow patties in here. The chickens do spread them out extremely well and sanitize behind the cows like the egret on the rhino's nose. All right. Yeah, this is the best place to look at the cows. The cows are just in that paddock right there right now, and we just can't. There's not a good place to get right down next to them. So we'll talk from here. I think we can do everything we need to do from this point. Get away from all those noisy chickens. Don't have to yell quite so bad. So herbivores. And by the way, this cockle, I want you to notice, what they've eaten of that. I mean, that's supposedly an inedible weed, but you can see they've eaten a lot of that, eaten the tops out of all those. So they've just been through here. They were in here 2 days ago. You can kind of see the paddock divisions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 through through this 6-acre field. We actually got almost 2 inches of rain on Tuesday night, and we were gonna take them down across the river, but the river came flooded, and so we couldn't take them across the river. So we were into, you know, probably plan F by that time, and so we just whipped them over and put them and brought them in here, let things dry out enough. The river go down now this evening. This afternoon I'll run them across the river. But herbivores, all right, they've gotten a kind of bad rap. You know, they're burping and farting and destroying the polar caps, and you know, we're all going to die because of those cows. So let's talk about that for a minute. What is the reason for an herbivore? The reason for an herbivore is to prune the vegetation. So here's what happens. When grass grows, get a nice long one here. Just in my pocket for now. When grass grows, it grows in a sigmoid curve. It starts slow and speeds up, and then it goes into senescence. I call this diaper grass, teenage grass, nursing home grass. So if we're wanting to metabolize sunbeams, I like the word sunbeams instead of solar energy. Sunbeams is more, you know, stuff of mystery and fantasy and children's books and, you know, the Brothers Grimm and all that stuff. All right, so sunbeams. If we're going to reach out and grab sunbeams of these 3 stages, diaper, teenage, or nursing home, where do we want the plant as much as possible? Teenage. Yeah, I don't do trick questions. No, this is straight up. All right, teenage. Yeah, that's where it's growing fast. I call this the heart and soul of the farm. This is the hay shed, hay feeding shed, but this is ultimately the carbon economy. So we haven't bought a bag of chemical fertilizers in 60 years. When we came, I could walk the entire farm and never set foot on a grass plant. That's how barren it was. It was rocks and gullies. These fields we've driven through with pretty grass had big 1/4 acre, 1/2 acre shale rock, not a piece of vegetation, not a weed, not a grass, not just solid rock. It's now got that much soil over top. And I've been able to watch this healing. When I was a kid, we couldn't feed 10 cows. Now we can feed 200. Fields I remember as 12 and 13 starting to drive the tractor. You know, every farm kid, the first tractor driving they do is raking hay, because that's the easiest. You know, a mower and a baler, a little bit sophisticated, but rake, you know, you just go out there and run around, you know. And fields that we used to make 100 bales of hay on, now we make 2,000. Okay? This works, folks. This is not just some fairy tale academic focus group exercise. Nature is not a reluctant partner to be wrestled and hog-tied and domineered and conquistadored and forced and raped and pushed. Nature is actually a benevolent lover desiring to be caressed in the right places. That's a very different view of our ecological umbilical. Okay? So how does this work? So when we're out of grass and we feed hay, hay is, for those of you who are not aware, hay is simply, it's raisin grass. It's dried grass. Okay? That's all hay is. All right. So stack the hay. We have extra grass. We mow it, let it dry in the sun, bale it, put it in there. So we're going to feed it. So we feed in these portable boxes in there that have that can raise and lower 4 feet. The thing is, in the wintertime, the soil is dormant and it can't metabolize nutrients. Okay, so these nutrients, those cows are dropping 50 pounds of goodies out their back end every day. 50 pounds. It's pretty sloppy. All right, and the nutrients are highly volatile. If they get dry, they want to vaporize, and if they get wet, they want to leach into the groundwater. In either case, they're kind of footloose and fancy free. You know, hard to hold on to them. But what really holds on to them is carbon. You tie them up with carbon, and you've got something. All right, and so this is the carbon shed. So this carbon is just wood chips. Okay? So these wood chips offer a carbonaceous diaper to soak up all of those goodies that those cows are dropping in the winter. As they drop it, we raise the feeder gate, and we just put in there a new diaper every couple of days, and it's absorbing all that manure and urine, and the bedding is just building and building. The cows are tromping out the oxygen, and it's actually fermenting. It's an anaerobic bedding pack that's fermenting. As we build it, we add corn to it. Corn then ferments in that bedding pack. Through the winter, it might get 4 feet deep, all right, like this. That's why the sides are so high, so the cows can't fall out of the barn when the bedding gets 4 feet deep. 4 feet deep in there, when the cows come out, the grass comes back in the spring, and then you put the cows out to graze again. Then we turn the pigs in there. The pigs then seek the fermented corn in the bedding pack and act like a big egg beater, injecting oxygen and move that whole thing from anaerobic to aerobic compost, and then we spread it on the fields. So, since 1961, with the combination of everything you've seen and this composting, which we make, thousands and thousands of pounds of tons of compost, letting the pigs do the work instead of having, mechanical doing it. The pigs do it. And of course, that honors the pigness of the pig. They think they've died and gone to heaven. They love to do that, eat that fermented corn. They'd prefer fermented corn over unfermented corn. So we don't have to use a machinery, we don't have to do petroleum or anything. We just let the pigs do the work, and it fully honors the pigs. So now the pigs are not just bacon and pork chops, they are co-laborers.
I'm in one of Joel's high tunnels here at Polyface. Huge tomatoes growing. I'm gonna take you over here. Check this one out. This right here is massive. I want to say that's a good 1.5 pounds. Look at this tomato. Golly. That is some serious weight. Behind me is probably America's largest brooder. There's probably thousands of Cornish cross chicks in here. There's so many of them. You want to know how many meat birds or broilers Polyface processes every year, or every couple months, or even every month? Take a look at all this. Imagine if you had all of this. Oh, it doesn't end there. There's more behind me. This is a lot. Polyface processes thousands and thousands and thousands of meat birds every year. They also process turkey and duck, I believe. This place is amazing. My brain is a sponge today. Folks, I tell you, there's not too many farms in America that's like this. Joel harvests his own wood off his own land. As homesteading is catching on, there are more and more people starting to get these saws and harvesting their own wood off their own land. It's way cheaper, and quite honestly, you get the right cuts. So if you want to know who Joel Salatin truly is, you will see him in every shot of this vlog. Whether it be grass, a chicken, a cow, a structure, a turkey, a plant, his ponds. That's who Joel Salatin is. He is a simple man, a simple farmer, and America needs more people like him.